So the new Pure Fiction just came out, and here's what I thought of it. The first thing I have to say is that it's probably the easiest one I've done so far because I am a follow-up main, and I do own the two limited follow-up characters, Topaz and Jing-Yuan. I kind of feel like they don't really matter too much, but you know, whatever. I guess you know they do help out a lot. So yeah, let's first go over the whimsically effect. Basically, what the main Pure Fiction buff is. So it says accumulate the amount of damage uh, based on follow-up attacks by allies. When the damage amount reaches 100%, deal a set amount of damage to all enemies in the field. So basically, you just want to build, you just want to bring in a lot of follow-up attacks so that it could fill up some, I think it was some hidden gauge, and then the instant you fill up the whole gauge, it just does a big burst. It's a HP percent damage burst, and it does around 25k and 50k when you're fighting a boss. Actually, I'm not really sure, but I'll just show like the demonstration of the fight itself. So yeah, in other words, just bring as many follow-up characters as you can, and let's go over the selected debuffs. I mean the selected buffs now. Now, obviously, the first one is the strongest one. If you guys don't know, the first one is definitely the one to pick. This one allows your characters to do 50% more damage for follow-up only, and it also doubles the whimsically effect, which is insane. Like, doubling that hit is really big, especially when it's so good. And I know it's some people that don't have a lot of follow-up attackers, it's still worth it to pick this one because you just need to bring a Herda and they just need to do the spinny thing a few times, or Ratio, or March, or even I don't know. There's just a lot of options. I feel like nowadays there's just so many follow characters. It's really hard for a account to not have a follow attacker like Himiko and stuff like that. And even Kafka, if you're like a DOT main, Kafka does a lot of follow up attack. She's actually one of the highest follow up attack proccers after Topaz, that is. So yeah, let's go to a second buff. The second buff basically is like it's like an option where you aren't a follow-up attack main, but you do want to try using different teams such as DOT and basically destruction characters and teams like Mono Quantum. If you really do not want to use a follow-up attack team, you could just do the second buff and basically change all of their ultimates into follow-ups. But yeah, there's that. I feel like this option is really made for like people that want to brute force something. But yeah. And then the third option is probably the one that no one will ever pick because it says whenever you do a follow-up attack, your character is advanced by 14%. It seems nice at first, but it can only be triggered once per attack, so you can't really just rush it with many follow-up attacks. I'm actually not sure if Topaz uses an attack, it counts as one, and then her pig uses an attack and it counts as another one, maybe. But I'm 100% sure Jing Yuan hitting 10 times would not trigger it. It even says here. So yeah, you definitely do not want to pick this one, especially because the first one is straight up 50% more follow-up damage, and it doubles up the whimsically damage. So yeah, now you know this one is the best. I feel like this is probably the most important part in the Pure Fiction, picking your buffs and understanding the whimsically effect, because it has a really big impact on what you do. Okay, so now I'll show you what I basically put on my teams. Obviously, I put 2 follow-ups per team, and then I have support, a buffer, and a sustain for each one. Now, normally I don't actually bring sustains for Pure Fiction, but because it's so easy, and because I don't really have to rely on damage buffers as much because of the effect, the whimsically effect is really powerful this time. I don't know I'm saying it multiple times because I want you guys to understand that it's really impactful this time. Just being able to do like big burst every time you do a follow-up. So you don't really have to rely on your team's damage, you just rely on the whimsically. That's why I just brought 2 sustains and 2 buffers. But yeah, I'll just show auto battle right now. I have it at 2 times speed so that it's faster. As you can see, my Herda isn't really doing much damage, around 4 to 5k, 4 to 6k damage per spin. But I feel like if you look at these procs, it does around 40k damage from the whimsically effect. Whenever you see the lantern, that's the whimsically effect. It dropped twice because of the buff that we selected. It's the top buff that we selected that makes it drop twice. See, it just nukes everything, giving us easy points, easy score. Just apply follow-ups and it drops the lantern now. Easy win. And it is percent HP damage, so you don't have to worry that your team doesn't have enough stats. Now my Herda isn't exactly stacked. She is a level 50 Herda with a level 60 light cone. Her relics are okay though. Her relics are crit damage relics. I just straight up pulled all my Yanqing relics and put it to her. But yeah, I'll just keep my Herda at level 50 because she does what she needs to do. As long as I have a sustain to protect her from dying, it should be okay. As you can see, I went past 30k points, so we're already good to go. Anything more than 30k points is like excess score, and you wouldn't have to worry anymore. And honestly, even if you don't get 30k points, I think it's still okay, because the second stage is actually even easier, especially if you have Clara. So you see here, I got my Doctor Ratio and my Clara, and the rest are just, I got a support and a Ho-Ho as a healer, just in case my Clara dies, because usually my Clara does take all the damage, and she usually dies, but that's why I need a healer for her. And now for the summary of this phase is that you're fighting Cirrus, the boss that summons a lot of monsters, which is perfect because every time you kill a monster, they summon a new one. So it really helps you get a lot of points, especially with Clara. As you can see, the lantern is doing heavy work. Every time I do a follow-up attack, fills the gauge up and it drops the lanterns down, which is the whimsically effect. Now what this boss does is every time you kill something and the boss takes a turn, it advances all the monsters forward, thus making it attack your Clara even more, and your Clara keeps hitting and applying the whimsically effect, so it just keeps stacking on, giving you more scores. And that's how I was able to get like over 20,000 score from just fighting Cirrus alone. Already 63,000 points. I still have 1 turn left. Nice and easy run. Now my Clara isn't exactly doing much damage herself, but because of how OP Whimsically is, it's easy clear.